Hey VC, it's Matt again, second video of the night. Thought I'd make another one. This would be a response video, second response video. This one being a response to Robert Z's um, thoughts on whether or not the vinyl community should be an elite club limited to vinyl only, no CDs, MP3s, Edison wax cylinders, flexi discs, 8 tracks, cassettes, or otherwise allowed. Um, saw his video here earlier today and pretty much agreed with all of his points that he made. So the short answer for me would be no. I think that if you want to show your music in whatever form, that should be welcomed and acceptable. I could be wrong, often am, but that's how I feel about it. The longer answer, to elaborate a little bit, would be to say that for me, music, my preferred form is and always has been vinyl records. That's why I showed this. The reason being that they're bigger, so you get the artwork, bigger than CDs or cassettes, so you can enjoy the artwork better. The extras you get with a lot of records, the booklets, the gatefolds, the inner sleeves with lyrics and other pictures, posters, colored vinyl, etc., etc. Uh, I think vinyl sounds better, always have. The it's a case by case basis. You can bring up a remastered CD versus a beat up copy of a record. Some cases it's kind of like the mono versus stereo arguments. It just depends on the record, but I like the things we've all heard: the warmth of vinyl, the crackle and the pop, the character that I don't think you get with other forms of other not forms but other CDs and so forth. Um, I think vinyl albums, playing albums is a more interactive, kind of forces you to be more interactive with the music. You put on a CD, you can skip from song to song. You go to iTunes, MP3s, you can cherry pick and just buy what you want from an album or download the hits or um, records. You can pick up the needle and place it on the next song over if you don't want to skip a song or whatever. Um, but I think with the record, it's I enjoy that interaction of taking it out of the sleeve, putting it on the turntable, listening. Then you got to get up and turn it over. Um, I think that it not forces you, but it encourages you to listen to the record as a whole. So um, a lot of the records in the days before CDs, and I've been collecting records long before CDs came along, where I know them back to front, just because, generally speaking, you would put them on and listen to the whole thing. So you would get to know the hits, you'd get to know the non-single tracks, you'd get to know the good and the bad. Some songs you didn't like, but you just let it play through because you wanted to hear the whole album. Um, and so I think, in a way, something's been lost, especially with MP3s, because younger people maybe, I don't know, tend to go to Amazon or iTunes and just download the hits from an album, a new album. Uh, maybe the other thing is, I know that certain songs that just hit me right off, just fell in love instantly. You Really Got Me, London Calling by the Clash, Ticket to Ride by the Beatles. I could go on and on. Versus certain songs that the first couple of times you hear them, you're kind of like, there's not much there. That's kind of random. But then after a few repeated listens, not you, um, some of those became my favorite songs. I really fell in love with them. So, but it took a little while to get your head around them, get to know them. So that's probably been lost to some degree in this age of MP3s and maybe even CDs where you can just skip around to your favorite tracks on an album, or just download or buy your favorite the hits that you heard on the radio or whatever on an album. And so maybe the newer group of musicians, new bands, maybe their albums don't get fully appreciated the way that bands of old did because of that. Um, so I mean, there's a lot of reasons that I like vinyl, but that's not really the point of this post. But that being said, I'm not a Luddite. I've got tons of CDs. I've got right over here. I've got an iPod with 8,000 some songs on it. I've got iTunes full of songs on my computer right here. Uh, don't really have any 8 tracks anymore from the old days, and I've got a handful of cassettes from the old days that probably don't play anymore. But so I'm not anti any of that, and I still, enjoy CDs in my car. And there's a lot of days, a lot of nights I like to read at night and often play music, and that is usually vinyl albums. But a lot of nights I'll just put a CD in, or I'll just turn on the iPod and put it on shuffle, which I think is a wonderful invention of the modern age. So, but my whole point is that people on here, and you've got most of the people I think tend to be sort of 20s to 50, but you got a lot of younger people, which is great to see. People getting into music. You got people older than that. You've got people showing here's my original Robert Johnson 78. It's only 3 of them and it's worth $20,000. Here's my original Can't Buy Me Love picture sleeve. Versus you have people that are showing CDs, albums, whatever, but albums that I just got back into collecting music recently, or I'm in high school and I just got into collecting music, and I picked these whatever album up at Goodwill or Half Price Books or Flea Market for 50 cents or $1 or $5, and it's all good, I think, um, because I think that the whole point um, is not to be an elite. This is only about vinyl. I could be wrong, but I think that's not the whole point. I think the whole point is to share our love and passion for music that most of the people on here, I haven't watched videos by everyone because I'm not even sure who all's on here, but I've watched a good selection of videos from different people on here. And most everyone I think is really passionate about music to the point that it's not just background entertainment. It's not just a casual passing interest. I think it's something that's really important, and I think that's the point, is to come on here and share the music that we care about, talk about why we care about it, talk about what what was going on in our lives maybe when these records came out, or how we came to become interested in music, and that's the point. And I think it's great to see people on here that are my age range, that have been collecting music for decades, that know, really knowledgeable about it. I think it's great to see younger people that are just getting into music, and for whatever reason maybe they like stuff from the 60s, 70s, and 80s as opposed to current music, and to see how excited they get about learning about Bob Dylan Goes Electric, or Jimi Hendrix, or the Velvet Underground, or something like that, to see them go through those discoveries. Because, I mean, remember when we were younger and when we first discovered that, and how exciting that was for us. And so that's great to see. Um, I think that, and a lot of people that have this massive wall of vinyl behind them, that's neat to see, all the colored vinyl and the rare releases. And people that, I just got into this and I've got 5 or 6 records or CDs, but I'm really having fun with it, and I'm looking forward to finding more great music, and and they're showing off their what they got at the record store, their dollar bin finds. Because I think, if you've got Freewheelin' Bob Dylan and the original alternate track release that's was pulled and is worth $20,000, or if you've got the mono Sundays re-released, if you've got a Freewheelin' that you found at a flea market for $1, if you've got it on CD or cassette, it all of them are great. And yeah, it's great to see the $20,000 Dylan album, but the point is the music, really, not the physical thing's cool, but the point is the music, I think. Um, and I think the other thing about the VC that I really like is that music. Like I said, I'm very passionate about music. It's a huge focal point in my life and has been since I can remember. And I look at music. Well, you can sports, just to do an analogy. You have people that could care less about sports. Football, baseball, take your pick. They don't pay any attention to it. They don't like it, or they're bored by it. I've never really, that I can recall, met anyone that just flat out doesn't like music at all. But you have that with sports. Then in sports, you have your casual fan. They look at the baseball standings in the paper. They watch the games on TV. Go out with their buddies and root for the home team. And they like it, but they're not obsessed with it. And then you got maybe a little more, and then you got the people that they can sit there and tell you all the players on a given football team or baseball team going back to when the team was founded, and they can sit there and recite the plays from the big game from 1955 and the Cotton Bowl or the Sugar Bowl or whatever. And I think that most people, everybody, but I mean, the majority of people that come here because they're passionate about music on a higher level than just the general public, even though most everybody that I know likes music to some degree, and to some it's a passing interest. It's something, car radio going to work. I like that song. It's cool. It's they like whatever's on the radio, the hits of the day of a given time, or they're the how you ask them what kind of music they like, country, rock, jazz, whatever. Ask them who they like, and more than likely you're going to get the household names. I like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Elvis, Led Zeppelin, Johnny Cash. But and I think it's hard for a lot of us to realize or remember that you come on here and there's people talking about Can and Captain Beefheart and the Velvet Underground and Syd Barrett and Pink Floyd, and that um, it's kind of hard to remember, or I don't know, hard to remember, but it's hard to, that probably 99% of the people out there would have no idea who you're talking about if you started talking about, Faust or Can or the Velvet Underground or Syd Barrett. Even my brothers, both older than me, and I kind of got, that's how I got my love of 60s music primarily, even though I like a lot of other stuff, was from picking up on the records that they had around the house, because when the Beatles came out, they were I think about 13 and 10, so they were at the right age to be buying that stuff. And so later on, when I got a little older, I noticed their Beatles and Rolling Stones and 45s and stuff around the house, and I just sort of grew into that. But uh, I and they bought records, and they still have CDs and listen to the radio, but they're not obsessive, I guess is the word, with it. I mean, one brother is pretty much fine just to listen to the classic rock station here, and that you probably have the same type station in your town that plays basically, or there's like the oldie station, and there'll be some of the classical rock stations, and they play a playlist of like 40, 50 songs that they just roll over and over and over. And it's like, here's a triple shot of Led Zeppelin, and now we got a triple shot of AC/DC, and now here's a triple shot of Floyd, and now here's another triple shot of Led Zeppelin. And I mean, they're fine with that, and that's cool. But, you know, and one of my brothers, he'll be here sometimes to see my records, and he's like, well, where do you find these crazy, weird groups that nobody's ever heard of? And, you know, so, and that's what, and everybody that knows me at work and all, they know that I'm nuts about music, but you really can't talk to them about it too much because they just wouldn't care and they wouldn't know what you're talking about anyway. And so I think that's why something like the VC, uh, primarily the focus is on music and sharing our love of music. I think the second thing is that most of us here like music is more than just a passing entertainment background noise, and so most people here know about Soft Machine, Sid Barrett, Butcher Covers, and all that good stuff. And so this is a place where we can come and talk about that stuff because I don't know how it is for you all, but I'm betting that in your everyday day to life, if you start talking about your coworkers or your coworkers, your friends, your family about that stuff, their just eyes are going to glaze over and they're not going to know or care what you're talking about. So this is a place, I think, for us to come and share our stories and talk about that stuff. It's just like a, a video chat room or a message board for people that are all into college football or something, you know, where they can go and talk about that. Whereas in their everyday life, a lot of people like college football, but not everybody likes it to that degree, if that makes sense. Um, I was watching Steffi Vaughn's response video to this too, and I think she made a good point that if you don't like people showing CDs or anything other than vinyl records, go watch another video. Don't watch them. You know, I mean, it's nobody's forcing you to. Um, Same thing. I've watched. I discovered this channel when I was looking for some other stuff on YouTube back. I want to say January or February, and I thought, hey, this is really cool. And so I started watching, and saw well, there's some other people doing this, and so I watched a bunch of people, and everybody whose channel I watched, I was some of the people here are great because, you know, generally people tend to have the same sort of tastes in music as you. You know, some people that I've gone and they're talking about their metal collection or their hip hop or you know, whatever, which are types of music that don't really do much for me. Nothing against it if you like it, but and that's great though. You know, if you want to talk about your Slayer records, I mean, if you want to get on here and talk about Lady Gaga and Justin Bieber, I don't care. I'm probably not going to watch it personally, but I think it's here for everyone to talk about whatever music turns them on and how that music affects them and why they love them, why they love it. So yeah, I think should be open to everybody. And one final point: there's a lot of people on here whose videos, Robert's one, Steffi, Derek, Mean Mr. Mayo, Light Breeze, who unfortunately said she's not going to make any more videos, so hoping she comes back. I like to hear her input. But a lot of people that I like to hear their thoughts on music. I like to see their collections, but I just like to watch their videos because some of them talk about other things than music and just kind of hear their thoughts and insights on life, you know. So I think you know, it is the VC. I do like to see vinyl records. I like to see other people's collection, but if that's CDs or whatever, I have no problem with that. And you know, it's all good. It's all about the music, I think. So have a good one, and we'll see y'all next time.